What's cracking? A very good Tuesday to you. Welcome to the jungle, broadcasting live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio. My name is Jim Rome. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Hey now. Hope you're having a great day. Nice to have you here. Let's do this thing. I've got plenty of baseball I want to get to. I've got some NFL as well. And I want to get your telephone calls in here as quickly as I possibly can. Don't waste time with it. If you know what you want to talk about, if you do not need to hear the open, if there's something you want to respond to, if there's something you want to get going, if you want to make a name for yourself, if you want to rip my talk show, do it. 1-800-636-8686. NFL camps are opening up. We can talk football, pro football, college football. 1-800-636-8686. In fact, in a couple of moments, I'm going to start with both a take on the NFL and on college. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter at Jim Rome. You can email the program directly at Rome, R-O-M-E, at haveatake.com. And also, finally, go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Jim Rome. Here are the interviews that we have. Baseball in hour number one. Matt Holliday joins us. Second hour is wide open. In the third hour, we talk to San Diego Padres all-star pitcher Tyson Ross, also Buck Showalter, who called right at the end of the program yesterday, and we're going to reset that today. What do you want to hit? What do you want to talk about? Get in here. 1-800-636-8686. I really don't care where you are or what you want to talk about as long as you have a take. You can make this talk show better. You go right to the front of the line. I want to start with Tony Dungy. I like Tony Dungy. I respect Tony Dungy. I think he's a strong football man. However, the first African-American coach to win a Super Bowl says that he'd want no part of the first openly gay player in the NFL. Tony Dungy, a man of profound faith, but apparently not an advocate for change, because he told the Tampa Tribune that drafting Michael Sam would not be worth the collateral baggage. Quote, I wouldn't have taken him, not because I don't believe Michael Sam should have a chance to play, but I wouldn't want to deal with all of it. It's not going to be totally smooth. Things will happen. Quote, end of quote. Mark it down. The very first Michael Sam distraction was just caused by a man admitting that he'd be afraid of the distraction. I mean, that's disappointing. That is hypocritical at best, bigoted at worst, and is a proud and profound leader of men. Dungy is saying that he'd run from a player who's attracted to men. So the same man hiding behind the distraction factor is the same man who's on record as saying he'd take Johnny Manziel. The same Dungy who mentored Michael Vick after he was locked up for his dogfighting ring and was urging teams to take Vick. And the same man who stood behind an aging Marvin Harrison who was investigated for murder. But he wouldn't take Michael Sam. It would be too much of a burden to coach a hard-working, law-abiding gay man. Look, if Chuck Noll had been afraid of, quote, things happening back in the early 80s, maybe he would not have hired an African-American assistant, and Tony Dungy wouldn't have gotten that all-important break. And if everybody thought like Dungy does about Michael Sam, then a gay player would never get his. So hiding behind that shield of distraction is pretty convenient. And it's a cop-out. And the man who wrote a book called Quiet Strength is not showing any with a take like that. This was somebody who was looking for a break back in the day and got it. What if that was the same take everybody had about him? You know, I don't think we want to give Tony Dungy a shot. Things will happen. It's not going to be totally smooth. It's very hypocritical and disappointing, I think. 1-800-636-8686. And if it's about something else, it's about your personal belief, why don't you just say it? Other than say, yeah, I don't know about that. That's going to be a distraction. Tony Dungy couldn't handle that distraction. Look at the other distractions that he brought in and dealt with. They weren't distractions. Jeff Fisher clearly can handle it. Well, Michael Vick wasn't going to be a distraction. And I'm all for Michael Vick getting a second chance. I'm not even saying he shouldn't have, although a lot of you think that he shouldn't. He did his time. He did the crime. It was a terrible crime, but he did his time. But Dungy's okay pushing for Vick to get that shot, saying that it's worth all that, but not Mike Sam? Strange. Hey, Rome. While I'm not appalled at what Tony Dungy said about Michael Sam, I am surprised he said it. I don't know if Dungy has changed in retirement, but I feel like back in the day, he would have welcomed Michael Sam and dealt with all the media circus to go along with it. What happened? Southside Mike in Chicago. Honestly, I think it's pretty consistent. I don't think he has changed in that regard. That does not surprise me. It disappoints me, but it does not surprise me. Rome. Dungy could not be a bigger hypocrite if he tried. He wouldn't have taken the gay guy because he's a distraction, but he had no problem supporting Tebow when he was a massive distraction. I guess Dungy never would have let Doug Williams be quarterback because that was a huge distraction, and he sure wouldn't have let Jackie Robinson play. People need to stop the hero worshiping of Dungy because he's nothing but a hypocrite bigot. Tim in Vegas. It's a great point about Tebow. Tebow is a massive distraction, which is, in effect, why he's not playing right now. And he's not a good player. There is that. Well, you know what? He could be a pretty good football player. He's not a good quarterback. And a massive distraction. Yeah, but that is curious, isn't it? The Dungy had no issue pushing Tebow out there. He's worth it. He's not worried about things happening with Tebow. He's not worried about things not being totally smooth with Tebow, but he was with Michael Sam. I think it's pretty hypocritical. Given who he is and what he's on record for, I think that's pretty hypocritical. And I think it's not about, quote, the distraction. Where do you come out? Let's talk about that. 1-800-636-8686. I said that I would start with some pro football, and I would start with some college football. And it must almost be football season because players are tweeting how much they're working out. Coaches insist that they expect great things from their teams. And Bama fans are sucker punching their rivals. You've probably seen this story. Tennessee Titans rookie quarterback Zach Mettenberger had a welcome to the NFL moment, but it turned out to be a farewell from the SEC assault. The former LSU Tiger was hanging out over the weekend in Nashville at a joint called Losers Most Wanted Bar and Grill. And now we know why that place isn't called Winners. Because what some loser wanted most was to knock Mettenberger out for the Tide Nation. I'm quoting the bar owner here. Here's what the bar owner had to say about what happened. Quote, "Here's the truth. The guy said something about Roll Tide to Zach. And then Zach turned around and said, good luck with that. And then the guy's buddy then sucker punched Zach."
He turned around and he said, "Roll Tide," and his buddy sucker punched him. That's the bottom line.
Of course he did. Because you can't just let somebody diss the Tide with something as offensive as good luck with that without doing something about it. Once again, one of the reasons to go. Anytime somebody says, good luck with that, you go. Somebody spits in your face, you go. Somebody threatens you or your lady or your family, you go. Somebody flashes a zap sign, you go. Somebody says, good luck with that, you freaking go. I'm surprised dude didn't chase that punch with a beer mug right outside Mets Dome. Then again, this loser reportedly ran out of the club right after he did it before getting run down by the bar's bouncers. The Alabama tree murderer is embarrassed by this punch and runner. And what exactly did Mettenberger ever do to the Tide besides go winless as a starter? Punching the guy, they should be buying the guy dinner. It's not like he was some Bama killer like Cam Newton or Trey Mason. This loser should be buying the guy a beer, not dotting his I. And running. Sucker punching him and running. Like I said, football season must be getting close. And if sucker punching players who you think dish your team is how you define your life, then you don't have one. Time to put down the drink and start to rethink. Less Roll Tide, more Get Life. Good luck with that. And before you come in here and say, hey, Rome, you just don't get it, let me stop you. You're right, I don't. I'm assuming that Mettenberger's minding his own business, just having a beer, and some Bama fan's got to come up and get in his face because they're a Bama fan and they're gutless if they don't. And you got to get in this guy's face. Roll Tide, Roll Tide, Roll Tide. Yeah, good luck with that, man. Bam! And then he runs. It's incredible. A punch and run. A punch and run because of a good luck with that. Your thoughts, your reaction. SEC being the SEC. Here we go. I mean, Mettenberger, what was he supposed to do? Fight the guy over that? Fight the guy over a Roll Tide? If he had to fight everybody who said Roll Tide to him, the guy'd fight all day long every day. He'd hear it for the rest of his life, too. Elsewhere, I want to talk about the Yankees. I buried them a little earlier than I normally do, and further evidence as to why I did that. I want to go back and talk about the Pacers because that's exactly what Paul George did. And Paul George, I thought, was pretty candid and pretty interesting in the comments he made about how that team imploded, how they fell apart. I have thoughts on it, which I will get to. 90 is the new 20. 80 is the new teenager. I have that story. Tim Tebow, man, gotta respect it. He is not giving up on that dream. I've never seen a guy cling to something so intently and work so hard. And he is working hard. He's always working hard. He's getting his workouts in apparently in Arizona and LA both. He's going to work for the SEC network, but he's got an out in the contract which says if an NFL team brings him in, he can bounce. So he's going to be sure that he's ready. Latest workouts include playing volleyball with a medicine ball. Yo, Lyle, what's up?
What's up, S-Mac?
This email says, wow, Rome, you are fired up regarding Dungy. Give yourself a freaking tongue for that take. Unwar disguised bigotry. Mike R in Toronto. The thing about that is, too, I like Tony Dungy. I like Tony Dungy. I respect Tony Dungy. You know, I'm one of those guys who's like, yeah, I fall in line like that. I've talked to way too many players that think way too much of him to think otherwise. I've always had good experiences with him. I think it's very hypocritical, though. And it's very disappointing that that's where he comes out on that. Not when you're on record helping a lot of other guys that were, quote, distractions. When you put yourself out there and you mentored plenty of other guys where, quote, things could happen. Yet this is a guy you want nothing to do with? Hard to believe. Actually, not hard to believe, but very disappointing and I think hypocritical. Very hypocritical. Matt Holliday coming up. Tyson Ross in hour number 3 and Buck Showalter coming up in hour number 3 as well. Let's do this. Bellawood pre-finished hardwood flooring is so exceptional in quality and durability that it comes with a transferable 100-year warranty. Well, this is your last chance to get the best Bellawood deals ever at Lumber Liquidators. I'm talking huge savings on Bellawood pre-finished hardwood flooring with the best scratch resistance in its class. If you've got dogs or you've got kids, this is the hardwood floor you need. Get American Cherry for 54% less than comparable floors at other stores, or solid Ultra Strand Bamboo for 38% less. Again, this is not your typical strand bamboo. It is Ultra Strand. You can even save 24% off the brand new Bellawood matte hardwood with its awesome low gloss, oil finish look. Do you want a floor that's going to hold its beauty for decades? Then you want Bellawood. But if you don't get into your local Lumber Liquidators by tonight, you're done. This is your last chance to save that kind of money. Special 12-month financing is available on qualified purchases. To find a store near you, go to lumberliquidators.com. Do it right now because this sale ends tonight. Go to lumberliquidators.com. Hot topic, hot issue, people getting very angry. Wayne0313 tweets at Jim Rome, only your California attitude would call someone a bigot because of their religious beliefs. You are unreal. Check yourself, Wayne. That's not exactly how that went. Yeah, I mean, this is wrong on so many different levels. But way to blame it on my, quote, California attitude. You California bigots. What I said was the fact that Tony Dungy would mentor and take a chance on all these other guys that brought along baggage and distractions, but not Michael Sam, to me, what I said was, at best it's hypocritical, and at worst is bigoted. And I'm going to stand by that statement. It is hypocritical, and at worst it is bigoted. Why is it bigoted? Hey, Rome, don't call him a bigot. That's his beliefs. I'll get to his beliefs in a minute. But if you believe that somebody who's gay deserves less of an opportunity than somebody who's not, in my opinion, that's bigoted. Because you're saying they deserve less of an opportunity or don't deserve the opportunity of somebody else because of their orientation. That, to me, is a bigoted point of view, regardless of where it comes from, what it's based in. In terms of this thing, a lot of you are saying, it's his belief. It's just his belief. It's just his belief. Let it go. It's his belief. That's fine. That's fine. Except for two things. Number one, he's not saying it's my belief. He's not saying this is what I believe. He's saying, yeah, I wouldn't do it because others may think things or do things. It's going to be a distraction. I mean, I'd feel better about it if you were to just come right out and say, look, I don't believe in that. I think homosexuality is a sin. Now, I've got an issue with that. But I'd feel better about this whole thing if he just said, this is where I stand. And don't say to me, well, he is in effect saying it. You can't have it both ways. Don't tell me it's his belief if he doesn't state the belief. Because he's not. He's just calling it a distraction. And I think that if he did state the belief, it's still an issue. I still have a problem with that. I don't agree with that belief. Some of you are like, I don't want to hear it, Rome. Let's just talk about football, all right? I don't care. Yeah, because there's so much to talk about right now. Because there's so many games that were played last night. There's so many issues to hit on. So don't bring in here, I don't want to talk about that. Because when you say to me, I don't care, and I don't want to talk about that, what you're really saying is, I really don't want to hear your opinion on that, Rome. Just stick to the games. Give us a take on the fourth quarter. Give us a take on that challenge call. None of that happened last night. We're still about 46, 48 days away from the season, so I can't really get into that. Dear Rome, Tony Dungy is a Christian man, and obviously homosexuality is not condoned by Christians. Bottom line, he doesn't condone it. And he should have just said as much, but instead he used the term, quote, distraction to mask what he really meant. If public figures just said what they mean, they wouldn't take all this heat from the media. I don't disagree with Dungy. He should have just chosen different words to express his opinion on Sam. Yeah, again, I'm not saying I'd feel any differently about it or much differently about it if he had just said it. He should have just said it, but it doesn't change my bottom line on it. Hey, look, I'm not even saying that he can't have his view. That's his view. I'm saying I think it's hypocritical, and I disagree with the view. I'm not calling for the man's job. I'm not calling for the man's head. He can have his point of view. Absolutely. I'm saying I think it's hypocritical and I disagree with it. It disappoints me personally. Hey, Jim, remember that one caller, Mike from Savannah, who said that the vast majority, through surveys of Americans, don't want gays to play in the NFL? Well, it turns out that these necks don't need surveys. They can just turn right to one of the brightest NFL minds to be the source of that discrimination. Come on, Tony. Really bad take. Dan in Seatown. Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. I remember Mike. Mike in Savannah.
Whether people agree with it or not, the vast majority or a large proportion of the population still believe that homosexuality is wrong. And when you have a large portion of the population that believes that, you can assume that it's reflective also in the NFL. The people that are buying the tickets still are a large portion of the population believe it's wrong. It can't affect the ticket sales.
Hey, Mike, you've gone to that twice. What makes you think that, quote, the vast majority of the population thinks that homosexuality is wrong?
Well, I mean, according to most of the surveys, I mean, like I said, now there's a lot of change.
Mike, I've never seen one survey. What surveys?
Well, Jen, to be honest, I didn't get any surveys on when I called in. But let's just say there's half the population. Let's say half the population.
How did you go from most to half, and how can we justify half? I mean, where are you pulling these numbers from?
Well, because pretty much.
Out. Most of the quote, most of the population is against homosexuality. I think you're confusing most of the population with your Tuesday night poker group. Nope. Trust me, Jim. 50% of the population. I think you're confusing 50% of the population with your foursome this morning at the local Muni. Nope. California guy, you got no idea what you're talking about. You and your California-based takes. I'm telling you, pretty much the whole world's against it. Based on what? Well, I conducted a survey of my fantasy football league, and none of us like it. Oh, all right. Yes, I've heard all your takes, all right? It's just his belief, Rome. Fine. I know it's his belief. One, I'd rather he state his belief, because he didn't state his belief.
And in addition to, the fact that he's a 300 hitter and drives in runs and is a clutch hitter, all the intangibles that you mentioned, we're going to miss out on. But, Tony Cruz and George Gutierrez, will fill in. And we've got a good team. I feel like they can still continue to compete until we get him back. Hopefully, his thumb heals really well and fast, and we get him back sometime in September and then in time to really, finish the season strong, and hopefully into the postseason we'll have him.
Matt Holliday joining us once again. Matt, you guys are on quite a run. You've been to 3 straight NL Championship Series. You've been in the World Series 2 of the last 3 years. In other situations, that kind of success might breed complacency. Have you noticed any of that, and how do guys fight against it?
I really haven't. We have a pretty young team. There's been quite a bit of turnover for a team that went to the World Series 2 out of the last 3 years. We've got quite a few young players and a lot of guys that got experience last year that kind of came up last year. And so I think that the complacency aspect sometimes is more for like an older team that is older guys that have been there and done that a lot. But I think having as much youth as we do, and I think that'll help combat that. And we have a lot of guys that are extremely self-motivated and are trying, understand that winning is the most important thing, and trying to win games and help your team win is really how you have fun in this game. Is doing something as a group to accomplish something great. At the end of that, you understand that was the real fun part. And so I think that we have a group that understands that. We have strong leadership to help these young guys understand, what it takes to get back to the World Series. So I think we're in good hands.
Matt, I've talked to you over the years, and I'm always curious what you do in the offseason because you change up so much. A few years back, for instance, you started to play some squash as part of your offseason conditioning. This past offseason, you went with more of an NFL-style strength program. What types of things were you doing?
Well, we did a bunch of tire flips, and we did some like strongman carries, which are basically like these big, long, heavy poles. I don't even know how to describe them, but you can put weights on the sides of them. Basically, you just carry them down and back about 30 yards and back, and then you take that right into pushing a sled. And it's just a good way to get cardio that's hard, that's fun, that doesn't take, you don't have to go jog and down a path. So we just figuring out ways to challenge ourselves and make it fun and make it hard all at the same time. So just trying to mix it up and keep things interesting. But it was fun. We did, like I said, at one point we did, I think, so many tire flips. I felt like we did it for like 30 straight minutes. But it was cool. It was good times. And like you said, it's fun every offseason to kind of mix something new in to keep it from getting too monotonous.
Just one more thought on that. You actually did some fireman's carries with closer Trevor Rosenthal. Yeah. How did that go for you? And more importantly, how'd that go for him?
You know what? I wasn't all that thrilled about it because that was after we did a bunch of tire flips and we were pretty sweaty. And our trainer, Roe, was like, all right, now just kind of bend over and like, you put your arm between his legs and flip him up. And I was like, really? I'm not sure I want his sweaty chest all over my neck. And so we did it anyway, but it went pretty well. He's surprisingly thick and dense. So he handled me better than I thought he would, and I handled him pretty easily. But I think we only did that once. I think I was like, you know what, I'm good on the sweaty guy on my neck.
Matt Holliday, my guest. The Cards are in second in the NL Central. They're just a half game back in Milwaukee, and it's going to be a really interesting second half. Matt, appreciate all the interviews over the years, and great to have you back on the show. Thanks so much, Matt.
All right, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Good talking to you, Matt. Thank you for making time for that interview. Matt Holliday. 1-800-636-8254. 8-6. You've heard both sides of that now. Ned Coletti came on yesterday and said that he thought it was, quote, interesting that Hanley Ramirez was hit twice on Sunday and that Yasiel Puig was hit the day before. And again, after Ramirez was hit the first time, Kershaw then hit Matt Holliday, and he said, maybe I'm being naive, but I dug in there pretty good. I didn't expect any retaliation there. All right, your thoughts on it? We're talking more about Tony Dungy. Yeah, how about the other big controversy, the SEC? A Bama fan sucker punches Zach Mettenberger in a bar after his friend got in Mettenberger's face and said, "Roll Tide," and Mettenberger responded with, "Good luck with that." Dear Rome, wait a second. Mettenberger had the gall to say, "Good luck with that," and only got punched? We would have brass-knuckled that dude and jumped him with 8 guys. Regards, Raider fan, Niner fan, Giant fan, and generally anyone living within 100 miles of San Francisco. Signed, Ed the Head in La Jolla. Ed the Head. It's got to be your Twitter handle, right, Ed? It's a good Twitter handle. Ed the Head. At Ed the Head. At the real Ed the Head. All right, we will come back and wrap this hour. Second hour is wide open now. I want to talk Yankee baseball. I want to get into Paul George. Paul George had some very candid comments when asked what happened. I mean, they looked like they were unbeatable. They looked like they were the team to beat, and then they totally imploded. And there's some real talk. I actually respect what he had to say. I think he didn't give us the entire story, but I respect what he had to say. All of that still ahead. You're in the jungle, and this is CBS Sports Radio. Let's go to the phones quickly. Wrap hour number 2? Maybe not. Right there on the edge. I want to make sure that whoever we talk to, we have time to talk to. Again, very polarizing topic. Hey, Rome, so freaking sick of the distraction card being played regarding gay players. When on most rosters you can find a few felons, a handful of drug charges, and even the odd sexual assault charge, are we really considering a man's orientation head and shoulders above all the other garbage that goes on? It's a convenient and accepted cover for being a bigot. Matt in Vancouver, War Progress. Listen, I'm just saying, and I know for a lot of you it's a very emotional issue, highly charged. You feel very strongly about it. I'm just saying, look at the person who said it. It's Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy said, quote, "I wouldn't have taken him being Michael Sam. Not because I don't believe Michael Sam should have a chance to play, but I wouldn't want to deal with all of it. It's not going to be totally smooth. Things will happen." And again, so far no Ram has said anything about any things that are happening. Chris Long said, for instance, one of the leaders on that team, he's all business. Good kid, all business. I'm just saying it's curious to me, and by curious I mean hypocritical, that Tony Dungy would say, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Why? Because things will happen. It's curious that the same guy who pushed hard for Michael Vick to get an opportunity, the same person who mentored Michael Vick and was urging teams to bring him in, felt that that was not a distraction and that things wouldn't happen. How? The guy did hard time for being a part of a dog-killing scandal. You don't find that hypocritical. You don't find it hypocritical that Tony Dungy was the same guy behind an aging Marvin Harrison who was investigated for murder. These things wouldn't lead to things happening. These things didn't mean that other things wouldn't be totally smooth. And how about a young African-American who wanted a shot to be a head coach? What if everybody said, nope, can't do that because things will happen if we bring him in? Which, of course, has led many of you to say, now, hold on now, Rome. He did not choose to be African-American. Sam chose to be gay. One of my favorite retorts. And there's a whole lot of that. Hour number 2, straight ahead. Hit that topic or pick up another topic. We'll come right back. This is CBS Sports Radio. Broadcasting from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio, I am Jim Rome. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Welcome back. The second hour is wide open. In the third hour, we're talking plenty of baseball. We had Buck Showalter scheduled for yesterday. We just missed him. We're going to reset that today. Also, San Diego Padres all-star pitcher Tyson Ross, also in hour number 3. Spent the first hour talking about Tony Dungy. People on both sides of that issue. Very upset on both sides of that issue. If you want to weigh in, go right ahead. I've given you my thoughts on that, and I will reset them a little bit later on. We had Matt Holliday on the program too. Talked about a crazy story involving an Alabama fan that sucker punched Zach Mettenberger in a bar in Tennessee. The bar owner saw the whole thing and said, quote, here's the truth. The guy said something about roll tide to Zach. Zach turned around and said, good luck with that. The guy's buddy then sucker punched Zach. And then ran out. And then got chased down by the bouncers. I mean, seriously. If this is how you define your life, if sucker punching players who are no longer in college, no less, who you think diss your team is how you define your life, then you don't have one. Time to put down the drink and start to rethink. Less roll tide, more get life. Good luck with that. He sucker punched a guy who said, good luck with that. Another one of the reasons to go, as I mentioned, good luck with that. I want to talk some basketball for a minute. We're a couple of months out from the Indiana Pacers, and all the way into the end of the season and the postseason when they struggled after they were so dominant for the first half of the year, we kept asking, what the hell is going on with these guys? What is their problem? What's going on with the Pacers? Well, now that we're a couple of months out, and now they're looking back, at least one of their guys has acknowledged what may have been the problem. Paul George had some pretty interesting comments about what happened to that team. When asked how they imploded the way they did, he said, quote, we started the year off hungry. The bad taste from the year before was in our mouths, and everyone was on a mission. Once we started to win, the game was coming too easy. We were running away from our opponents, and we just kind of forgot that edge. End quote. You know, I actually respect that. That's some real talk from a star. I respect it, and we all saw it. The Pacers went from the league's baddest team, and they were, the league's baddest team to the bass fishing boat. And PG could have easily just tried to sell us some BS like, the Heat were the better team, it just wasn't our year. You know, it wasn't our year. But the fact is, it was their year. It wasn't our year. That's why I respect it. It was their year. And they went into the tank. And they did lose their edge. They acted like they could just throw the switch. In other words, they started acting like champions before they actually were champions. That was definitely a thing last year. That was a thing, but it wasn't the only thing. It wasn't just a matter of, yeah, we thought we had it, and we kicked it into cruise control, and then when we tried to get it back, we lost that edge, and we couldn't find it. It's not just that, because losing your edge does not explain Lance Stevenson and Evan Turner allegedly fighting right before the playoffs started. Losing your edge does not explain Roy Hibbert going from an all-star to a non-factor. You know, there's something else going on here. Everything Paul George said is right, but there's something that he didn't say. Something happened to that team. And it wasn't just about flipping switches or getting comfortable or getting too confident. Something happened that seemed to wreck their chemistry. And I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was all that crazy speculation that the internet is so famous for that you don't have to look too hard to find. Maybe it was something else. But that's not just a case of a team peaking too soon. That's part of it. But that's far from all of it, I think. Something else poisoned that locker room. And given how the Cavaliers and the Bulls have improved, Indy's window may have already slammed shut. There's something else going there. So I respect that he dropped some real talk and actually acknowledged it, but I feel like there's something else going on there. I don't know what it is. Consult your local internet. There's all sorts of great theories as to what that was. I'm not sure, but I think there was something. All right, let's go to Portland. Back to the phones. 1-800-636-8686. Jody in Portland. Jody, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
I wanted to just make a comment about Tony Dungy, and I just have to tell you how much I appreciate you coming out so strongly, calling him hypocritical, because someone like you, who I think, well, I'm a crazy sports fan, And I think of you as being, pretty, for lack of words, like macho and like a cool dude, and that you're coming out and saying, hey, it's okay to be gay. It's all right to be a homosexual in professional sports. That's what's going to help to make it a non-issue. And I just appreciate you addressing this. And I just wanted to say thanks.
Jody, thank you for calling. I appreciate it. Listen, I'm not some, quote, macho guy, some macho sports talk show guy. I like to think that I'm a pretty reasonable person, pretty open-minded. I've got some strong opinions. I'm not afraid to express those opinions. A lot of you don't like the opinion. And by the way, a lot of you don't like that opinion because I'm reading your emails and I'm seeing your tweets and you're pretty fired up and you're pretty upset. Like, hey, Rome, shut it down. Let's go home. You're a California bigot. I'm just looking at this thing, I think, very logically and with an open mind. And I can't imagine why you would not want to bring in a player who's gay. Because of what? Quote, things will happen. Again, we're talking about Tony Dungy, a great leader of men, a Super Bowl champion, a successful author, a very prominent analyst, an extremely well-respected figure in his sport and has been for a very long time. And, by the way, a guy who has given opportunities to a lot of players that would be considered distractions. That's why I've got a hard time believing or reconciling that he thinks that this particular player is too much of a distraction. Mike Vick wasn't. Marvin Harrison facing a murder rap wasn't. Tim Tebow wasn't. Keyshawn Johnson wasn't. These are all guys that he threw in with. These are all guys that he said, that's my guy. I bring him in. You should bring him in. They're either guys that were his guys already that he had, or guys that he put himself out there and said, you should bring this guy in. It's worth it. I'm just wondering why all of them are worth it, but Michael Sam's not. Can you answer that question? Why was Mike Vick worth it, but Mike Sam's not? Vic did hard time. And by the way, I was in favor of him getting a second shot because he did his time. I was in favor of Michael Vick, as heinous as it was. And I thought it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. It's a dog-loving nation now. That was terrible. Fighting dogs to the death for your enjoyment, for your sport, so you could gamble. Raising them to kill each other. I mean, that's as bad as it gets. But I was in favor of him getting another shot because he did his time. He did his time, the punishment was harsh, and he came back, and he tried to say and do the right things. I was in favor of that. And so was Tony Dungy, and I had no issue with that. But that guy deserves a shot, but Michael Sam doesn't? Yeah, I know. Dungy's not saying he doesn't deserve a shot. He's saying he wouldn't give it to him himself. Are we splitting hairs here? What's the difference? Jim, you've hit the nail right on the head as usual. It is absolutely hypocritical for Dungy to say that he would not want to deal with Michael Sam and the distractions, but he would enthusiastically do so with Michael Vick, Tim Tebow, etc. To also go off your point, I would just add that as a minority, I'm Asian American, it is particularly disappointing when high-profile minorities who have achieved success and have overcome prejudices and discrimination, like Dungy has, go on to deny others who try to do the same thing with the same opportunities. It's almost like Dungy is saying, I got mine, screw the rest of you all. CN and Amherst. Help me with that. What if on the way up, and Tony Dungy was an excellent player and obviously was going to be a great head coach? Obviously was going to be a leader of men. Obviously was going to be somebody that others responded to. What if you knew that, but said, nah, you know what? I'm not going to give him that shot. I'm not going to bring this guy in. Well, why not? He played the game. He knows the game. People like him. People respond to him. He obviously is a motivator and a leader. Why would you not give that guy a shot? Quote, things will happen. So what I'm saying is the same opinion or the same approach that he has, what if everybody else had that approach to him because of the color of his skin? He would have never gotten an opportunity to be who he is right now. An icon of sorts. And that's where a lot of you come in with, nope. That's different. He didn't choose to be African American. Michael Sam chose to be gay. And this is where this thing kind of starts to go off the tracks to a certain extent. Like, all right, Rome, enough's enough. You stick to sports. Yeah, I'd love to, but this is part of it. As far as this whole notion of he chose to be gay, I don't know. Again, this is just my opinion. As long as we're saying it's his belief, this is my belief. Why would somebody, quote, choose the much more difficult path? Why would somebody choose to be ostracized, not accepted for their orientation, bullied, perhaps seen as an outcast in their own family, in their own peer group? Would somebody choose that? Does that seem like the path of less resistance? I don't know. Maybe it's not a choice. Maybe it's not a choice. Hey, Jim, I just told a coworker that I had a dentist appointment this afternoon, and he said, good luck with that. Of course, I had no choice but to knock him out. John in Ames. Good luck with that. That's a reason to go. That's the new reason to go. Jody in Portland's taking some now. Whatever you do, do not call this show and ever compliment the host about anything because you'll get hammered for it. Never ever do that. Hey, Rome, did Portland woman just call in to take 3 minutes of the jungle's time just to say that she appreciated your opinion? This is why women get a bad rap in the jungle. Go take a bath, Portland woman. Why? Why? What did she do? She said, I appreciate that you said that. I'm a little surprised that was your opinion, and I'm glad that that's your opinion, and I applaud you for that. What did she do wrong? What did she do wrong? Dear Jim, really nice to hear Jolene back in the jungle, Ken in Calgary. Exactly what did she do wrong? She said, I did not expect to hear what I believe to be a well-reasoned take from, quote, a sports talk show host. I'm surprised and I'm happy to hear it. Thank you. That's a reason to get killed? What did she do wrong? Unbelievable world. But I say to you, I've got Tyson Ross and Buck Showalter coming up next hour. If you're angry and you want to get into this, go ahead. And I'm not looking for you just to agree with me. Hey, look, I'm reading your tweets and emails. A lot of you do not agree with me. That's fine. We can hash this thing out. Let's talk about it. You're in the jungle. I'm Jim Rome, and this is CBS Sports Radio. Speaking of the SEC, I want to break some news to Steve Spurrier. Spurrier, of course, is the guy who says that he loves getting Georgia early because he can always count on some of their guys being suspended because they get arrested. Well, he's got the Dogs September 13th, and Georgia D lineman Jonathan Taylor just got arrested. Again. This time for aggravated assault. That's his second arrest of the offseason. Even in Mark Richt's world, arrest number 2 means he won't be seeing him in week 2. At least he better not. So I've got to break that news to Steve Spurrier. Hey, man, he says, I love these guys. If I got to get these guys, I want to get them early because there's always somebody suspended because somebody gets arrested. And somebody did get arrested again. This was one of those guys who went with one of my all-time favorite crimes, double dipping. A double deposit on a stipend check. Because you're going to get away with that. You deposit it in the ATM, I suppose, and then you beat it across campus with your world-class speed and try and deposit it into the bank, too. Double dip. That's how you turn $1.50 into $300. Good day's work, but you got to run fast. It's all in the timing. And if that's not enough, just go out and get picked up for aggravated assault. So arrest number 2 means we probably won't see him in week number 2, and Spurrier is right on it. The OBC calling a shot almost every single year. Right there. Cavalier fan. Cavaliers are trying to get a deal done for Andrew Wiggins. That does not mean that they still will not move him in a deal. They could still move him in a deal for Kevin Love. The big question is, if you're Cleveland and you're trying to get Kevin Love, how much are you willing to give up? Would you give up Wiggins and Anthony Bennett and also a number 1 pick. Man, that's a fat package. Would you do it? Coach K was on John Feinstein's radio program, and Mike Krzyzewski, who obviously has coached the Olympic team, knows Kevin Love very well, said, you do that. You do that without hesitation. You've got to make that deal. And, you look at his reasoning, it doesn't surprise me at all. I was a little surprised that he was as forthright as he was. He didn't weigh both sides of that. He just said, you make that deal. You make that deal. And his reasoning, and I agree with this, his reasoning is you've got LeBron James. LeBron James is the best player in the world. He's approaching 30. You do not want to waste what's left of his best years. When you've got the best player in the world and he's on the clock, you have to take advantage of those best years. You do not want to waste it. If you've got a chance to get another one of the best players in the world, you do that. Coach K also argued because you know exactly what you're getting in Kevin Love. You're getting a 20-10 guy who can spread the floor. He said in Andrew Wiggins, you don't really know what you're getting. You think you know what you're getting, but he's not a proven commodity. You make that deal. That's tough. That's a tough call. And it's not just Wiggins. It's Wiggins and Bennett and the first pick for Kevin Love. If I'm Cleveland and LeBron wants it, I find a way to get it done. Just know that Wiggins' upside might even be bigger and better than Love's. He ultimately might be a better player than Kevin Love when it's all said and done, but not now and not anytime soon. And time is not on their side. They've got LeBron pushing 30 with Miles, and LeBron in a 2-year deal who can opt out after 1 year. So they need to win right now. And you're not going to win right now with Bennett and Wiggins and a first-round pick you haven't used yet. I'd make that deal. Hey, Snags. One time I was at the park, and I saw 2 shirtless man-tanners playing pickup basketball. Rex said to Phillip, good luck with that. I think in reference to some chick named Belle. Anyways, after straight fire, like good luck with that, it was freaking on. I am talking a straight-up brawl. Signed Greg in Brentwood, Jungle Insider. Wait a minute, I see what you did. I see exactly what you did. You're talking about Lyle. Lyle, the shirtless man-tanner, nearly got into a brawl. Hey, check that. Phillip nearly got into a brawl with Rex over some gal named Belle. Go to Facebook.com/Jim Rome in case you missed it. Wore Marlins Will Soar as the first dance at my wedding this weekend. Greg in Brentwood? Remember, I said to Kyle Brandt, if you do that for your first dance, your first song, I will pay for your honeymoon. He goes, yeah, I don't know if I can sell that to the wife. He gets home, he asks his wife, Brooke, and she's like, you took that, right? No. Go back and take it. So he comes in the next day. Vance Mack, I'll take you up on that. Nope. Deal's dead. Come on now, I told Alvin if he named his firstborn Zorro, I'd pay for his college. Zorro DeLoro. What doesn't matter with you guys? It's so easy. There's money, a stack of money on the table. Well, how do you not take it? Times have changed. Things are not necessarily what they used to be. I'm now more responsible. I'm no longer making offers like that anymore. I told Kyle Brandt I would pay for his honeymoon if he played Marlins Will Soar for his first song, first dance. He did not. I told Alvin DeLauro if he named his kid Zorro, I would pay for the kid's college education. He did not. Those offers are never coming around ever again. What's the matter with you guys? You're holding a lottery ticket. Kyle has since said, quote, an awful decision by me. You're holding a lottery ticket. Cash it. Cash it. El Braz at Jim Rome. When Buzz told me he was going to the moon, I said, good luck with that. Didn't go so well.
You're a coward and a liar and a thief.
And you just got punched in the face. Hey, look, that other guy had, quote, a belief as well. His belief that we never landed on the moon. And he went to one of the guys who did step on the moon, and he didn't like that. Did not like it. Let's go to Houston. Back to the phones. David in Houston. It's good to have you on. David, how are you?
Hello, Rome. How's it going?
Good. How about you?
I've been a clone for a long time, but since '96. But I couldn't disagree with your stance on Tony Dungy, moreover, and with respect to you, Rome. I think Tony Dungy is a model of consistency. He is a first ballot, not Hall of Famer, but a first ballot of somebody that's going into heaven. He is standing up for what he thinks is right in the era of Muhammad Ali. When they asked Muhammad Ali to step forward to go to Vietnam, he didn't do it. And even though everybody's coming down on him, saying he's this, because you disagree with the lifestyle does not make you a bigot. You disagree with the lifestyle. And yes, Rome, the lifestyle, apples and oranges, it's apples and dump trucks. Okay, the lifestyle and I know you made little of this, but choosing a lifestyle is way different than we can't pick our race. We can't pick our name. But this guy chose his lifestyle, and he has to take what comes with it. Now, having said that, I wanted to touch on one other thing.
Dan, let me ask you something. I respect where you're coming from. You and I disagree on that, but let me ask you this. How did he choose a lifestyle? How do you know that he had a choice in that lifestyle?
Because he's a man, and a man is supposed to go with a woman. He could choose to be a man. He chooses to go and like men.
Yeah, but how do you know that? How do you know it's a choice? How do you know that he wasn't just born and this is what happened? This is the way he feels. That it was not a conscious choice. It's just what it is. It's the way he feels.
Because Rome, he made a choice.
I'm asking you, David, how do you know he made a choice? How do you know sexual preference is a choice? Orientation is a choice? I don't think that it is. How do you know that it is?
I would say that it's a choice. That's my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I would also say, Rome, that he makes a choice. Yes, you say, well, why does he make a choice? If he's taking the route that's more, there's going to get a lot of people talking about him, blah, blah. The tougher choice and the right choice is to do what's right. And let me take that back. I don't say what's right. Do what he was supposed to do. And
so if there's a choice, the tougher choice is to be straight. Why is that the tougher choice?
The tougher choice is to be straight. Yes, absolutely.
Why is that tougher?
Because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do.
No, I understand that the right thing to do is not always the easier thing to do, but in this case, I don't see how that's the tougher thing to do.
Because yes, it is, because he can't do it. It's quite evident that he can't do it, Rome.
It's quite evident, Dave, that you and I are getting nowhere at this point. I mean, we disagree. And I respect your opinion. I disagree with your opinion. Notice I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I disagree with your opinion. And what I disagree with is, and I'm glad that he made that point. I'm really glad he made that point because a lot of you are attempting to make that point. Rome, it's not bigotry. It's not the same as an African American being discriminated against because an African American did not choose the color of his skin. This young man chose his orientation. And my response to that, and my argument to that is, I don't think he did. I don't think it's a choice. I don't think preference and orientation is a choice. I don't think he had any more of a choice in that than anybody does in the color of his skin. And again, I would say, all right, it's a choice. Why would he choose that? This is not easier. This is not the path of less resistance. Why would you choose that? Why would you choose to be ostracized? Why would you choose to be persecuted? And his response to me was, because the right thing is to be straight, and it's harder to do that. And I want to make the point. I understand that the right choice is not always the easier choice. But I don't think choosing to be gay, if that's what he did, is the easier choice here. Jim, message to all the red state fearmongers in your audience. Can you please inform the beetle-headed, mouth-breathing McDonald's aficionados that discriminating against someone because of sexual orientation is no different than being a racist? Mad ups to rational people like you and Jody in Portland. JM in the 503. If you are discriminating against somebody or not giving them the same opportunity as somebody next to them because of their race or their religion and, yes, their sexual orientation, that is bigotry. Let's go to the phones. Mike in Wichita. Mike, nice to have you on the show. How are you?
Man, I'm doing all right, Jimmy. This is the first time I've ever called and not had a script written down. So forgive me if I babble on a little bit here. I'm tired of people saying that it's a lifestyle choice. I don't have any that I'm aware of out close gay friends, anything like that. I know I have a couple of family members that have had to deal with it, and I think it's pretty simple when you actually stop and think about it. You know, growing up, I was taught that they were perverts, that they were child molesters, that you couldn't be gay, and it was the worst thing you could do, and all these bad things. So what I can't understand is what kid at 12, 13, 14 years old grows up and hears this all their life. All their friends, all their families, they're going through puberty, and they're thinking to themselves, man, I've got all these crazy emotions going through me, and I don't know what to do about it, and all my friends and family hate this. But you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to choose to like the same sex. Let me tell you this. I want you to stop and think for 1 second that somebody put a gun to your family's head and said to you, choose to be gay or I'm going to kill your family. It is absolutely impossible to choose to be gay. I couldn't do it if my family's life depended on it. Now, if you're talking about sex acts, that's something different. I'm talking about actually being attracted to someone of the same sex. It's that simple. I'm starting to believe what Bill Hicks said. We're a virus with shoes, but you know what? We're evolving. We're getting better. I'm 39. The next generation is already way ahead of my generation. My son is 3 years old and 5 years old. They are going to be even further along on this evolutionary process. I got to go. It really is frustrating. Have a good day. See you, Jim.
All right, Mike, thank you. You should call more often without a script. Notice when he called without a script, he didn't get run. Normally when he calls with a script, he doesn't make it through the phone call. Mike in Wichita weighing in. All right, we'll take a break. Tyson Ross next hour. Buck Showalter coming up. You've heard both sides of this issue pretty clearly. Where'd he come out? I want to talk some Yankee baseball. Boy, Shane Green had a night, didn't he? And he's one of their better pitchers. 1-800-636-8686. You are in the jungle. Our phone lines are wide open. And you are listening to CBS Sports Radio. Summer temperatures place added stress on your battery, especially one that's about to fail, so you want to get yours tested for free at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. David in Houston got you all going. Some of you would agree with him, and a lot of you don't. This guy writes, that guy David is what's wrong with this country. For real, Rome. Wildly ignorant, obsolete views with zero ability to express them. Really, screw that guy. He's holding us back. You said you respect his opinion. I don't at all. It just made me furious and frustrated with how stupid and pathetic people are. David, shut your mouth. Shut it. You're way too stupid to be talking anywhere, let alone on a public forum. Max in Chicago. All right, let me address a couple of things there. One, I'm glad he made the call. I'm glad he made the call because I think a lot of you were just kind of laying back and listening and maybe reacting. But again, unless you're online or unless you sit here and you see what we see, you don't really know the extent of it. Both sides of it, of course. Now, you said to me, you said you respect his opinion, Rome, but I don't at all. Here's what I respect. I don't respect that opinion per se. Yeah, I do actually. I respect his right to have an opinion. I would never say, you don't agree with me, I'm not going to listen to it. You can't be on this show. I do respect the opinion. I don't agree with it. I respect anybody who's got an opinion. Hey, who's to say I'm right? Who's to say you're right? So yeah, I respect the opinion. I don't agree with it. I strongly disagree with it. But I respect his right to call this show and express it. But he made a lot of you angry. Cheesehead Logic tweets at Jim Rome. It's great to hear these callers who can't justify their own opinion. All right, if you're joining us late, we're talking about David in Houston, who called moments ago and we had this conversation.
This guy chose his lifestyle, and he has to take what comes with it. Now,
let me ask you this. How did he choose a lifestyle? How do you know that he had a choice in that lifestyle?
Because he's a man, and a man is supposed to go with a woman. He could choose to be a man. He chooses to go and like men.
All right, so this person tweets in response to that, NOLA legal MVP at Jim Rome. Quote, Ask David in Houston what age he was when he made the choice to be straight. I don't know about you. I can only speak for myself. I never hit that fork in the road in my life where I had to make a decision. I never weighed the two sides. I just was. I don't remember thinking to myself, all right, what's it going to be, Van Smack? What's it going to be? We all make choices, and our choices ultimately make us. What do you want to do with yourself? What do you want to do with your life? Let's just go ahead and weigh the pros and cons. Do you want to be heterosexual, or would you like to be gay? What's it going to be? I don't remember there being a big powwow with my family. I don't remember getting with my spiritual advisors. I don't remember talking to a teacher or a mentor or an elder. I don't remember making a choice. I didn't sit at a card table with two hats, one that said gay and one that said straight, or one that said abstinent. 3 hats. I didn't have a hetero hat, a gay hat, a bi hat, an asexual hat. There were no hats. I just woke up and grew up and hormones started to bounce and I found myself attracted to women. And I just kind of went with it. And I've got a feeling that gay people probably have something pretty similar going this direction. Or maybe they struggle with it. I just don't think it's a choice, in my personal opinion. But again, you keep hammering me with, Rome, it's his belief, it's his belief. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. I disagree with the belief. I have my belief, you have your belief. That's what makes the world go around, and that's why we're all knocking heads right now. The only problem I have with the it's his belief part of the argument is he didn't state it as his belief. But even if he did, I'd still have an issue. Hey, Jim, here is the problem with the it's his belief argument. If Sam's orientation conflicts with his Christian beliefs, why wouldn't he also speak out against players that take the Lord's name in vain or have sex before marriage or cheat on their wives? All much bigger sins in the Bible. Claiming Christian beliefs is a convenient way to hide homophobia. Thanks, Todd Simpson. Interesting. I can't interpret the Bible like that. I'm not well versed. I don't know whether or not these things are, quote, bigger sins. But they would be considered sins, right? Sex before marriage, sex outside of your marriage. How about that? When Tony Dungy was a coach, did he ever have players who performed those types of things? Did he ever have guys that cheated on their wives? I would say probably so. Did he ever have guys who had sex before marriage? I'd say probably so. Where does that rank? How does that compare? More food for thought. All right, we will come back. Are you now burned out on this? Would you like to move on? Or do you want to keep going? I can go either way. Look, the conversation is positive. The dialogue is needed. It's a good conversation. I'm glad we're having it. 1-800-636-8686. Plenty of baseball next hour. Buck Showalter and Tyson Ross both joining us. Coming up on Rome today, we're talking Buffalo Bills football. Cyrus Kwanjo, first round, or actually a second round draft pick. Many thought he'd go in the first round. Second round draft pick out of Alabama joins me on Rome on CBS Sports Network, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. For now, you are listening to CBS Sports Radio. I know how this goes. I've seen this. I've done this long enough to know that in this format, I know how this goes. If it were a different genre and a different format, it might go differently. Initially, you hear the topic, you hear a point of view that's one-sided from me or somebody else, and you're like, all right, let's do this. And then you're into it, and then you start to exchange, and you're standing in the middle of the ring, and haymakers are flying. And you're feeling it, and you're into it. And then you start to get angry, and angrier, and more mad, and then you're like, all right, enough. All right, we did that. Can we move on? I think some of you want to keep going and want to discuss it, and I'm open to that. And I think some of you are ready to move on. So, when we start hour number 3, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to move on, but I'm not going to close the door on this completely. If you want to, we can talk about it, but I'm going to get into some other things as well before you freak out and get too angry. But by the way, we're always going to have conversations like that on this show. You have to have those conversations, and I'm glad we had that conversation. And I'm more than happy to keep doing it next hour, but I'm also prepared to talk about some other things. Does that make sense? Tyson Ross, next hour. Buck Showalter, next hour. A new topic at the top of the hour when we come back. Once again, you're in the jungle. I am Jim Rome. And as some of you have pointed out, I am in California. Because that's got so much to do with it. And this is CBS Sports Radio. Broadcasting live from the O'Reilly Auto Parts studio. O'Reilly Auto Parts, better prices every day. Welcome back. I am Jim Rome. Phone lines are still open. 1-800-636-8686. You may have been listening. You want to respond to either side of this. You can follow me on Twitter at Jim Rome. You can email us at Rome, R-O-M-E, at haveatake.com. Quick reset. The big topic today has been Tony Dungy and the statement that he made. I would not have taken Michael Sam, not because I don't believe Michael Sam should have a chance to play, but I wouldn't want to deal with all of it. It's not going to be totally smooth. Things will happen. End of quote. Myself, I find that, and I like Tony Dungy. I like him. I still like him. I respect him. I respected him then. I respect him now. I think he was a great coach. I think he is a leader. I think that he was an excellent motivator. I have lots of positive things to say about Tony Dungy. In this particular case, I find these statements to be hypocritical. Hypocritical at best and even bigoted at worst. And I find them to be hypocritical because it's the same person who mentored Michael Vick after he was locked up for his dogfighting ring. The same man who coached Marvin Harrison and backed him while he was being investigated for murder. I mean, these things are not distractions, but Michael Sam would be. I find that hypocritical. And what I find troubling about it is Tony Dungy was obviously extremely bright and very talented and deserved a shot. But what if on the way up as an African-American, he didn't get that shot because, quote, people would have thought that things would happen, that it would not be going totally smooth. What if he was denied that shot? I mean, look at the success he's had. Look at the difference he's made in so many people's lives. What if he didn't get that shot because others who were in the position of authority did not give him that shot for the same reasons he wouldn't give Michael Sam a shot? I find that hypocritical. So now we've had both sides of this, and people are getting more and more angry. For instance, Dear Jim, thanks for lifting up that rock and opening your show to America's weasels, rednecks, and nightcrawlers that apparently have totally unfounded fears over gays in sports. I had not realized we had made such little progress until I heard you're calling dinosaurs, wingnuts, and Bible thumpers. America needs more self-righteous moralists like Dung G, who saved dog killers. Signed Gabby Hyman in Seattle. You can decide whether or not you think we're making progress or if we're actually going the other way. But one good way to get a sampling is just to go online. Seriously. Go online. Check social media. Look at Twitter. And you'll get a pretty good sampling. And again, that doesn't represent the entire country, to be sure. Just users of social media. But there's a whole lot out there that you don't have any idea about, if this is surprising to you. I also know that we've reached that point in the conversation where a lot of you are thinking, all right, Rome, it's a freaking sports talk show. Enough's enough. I get it. I respect it. And in fact, I'm here to help. I'm here to help. This is so tense. This is so tense that I think what we need to do is find a way to cut the tension. We need to find a way to cut the tension. And how do we do that? I think the best way to cut this tension is to find a star major leaguer like, I don't know, Cliff Lee. Maybe Cliff Lee can help me cut the tension by actually cutting the cheese. Take it away, Clifford.
I want this team to win, and I'm going to do everything I can to help that happen, and that's really it. Did you get that on text? What you on there?
And certainly won't that bring us all together? Who can't rally around that? A major leaguer and flatulence. That's a star big leaguer. And that wasn't one of those things that just happens because that happens. And you want to talk choice? You want to talk choice. He chose to do that. All right? I don't think people choose their orientation. That was a choice. I don't think you choose orientation, but I think in this case he chose flatulation. He didn't play it off. He didn't apologize. He didn't say, excuse me. I think he kind of walked away with an air of, how you like me now? Hope you all got that.
I want this team to win, and I'm going to do everything I can to help that happen, and that's really it.
Thank you.
Did you get that on tape?
And notice he didn't play that off. He didn't try and cough over it. He didn't say, yeah, you know, that was just a floorboard. It creaks. That was my chair. I leaned back in my chair. He didn't say it was the other guy like, oh, dude, where are you going with that? So does that help you? Did that cut the tension? Cliff Lee, quote, cutting the cheese? DeAndre Jordan can't believe that he just did that.
This is DeAndre Jordan. We're at Venice Skate Park, and I'm about to simply just fart on people.
Pretty mature, huh? DeAndre Jordan's a big joker. He's a clown. He actually went to the beach here in Southern California with a flatulence machine and was rolling up on people and dropping bombs like that. And they didn't know what it was. They thought it's what it sounded like. They thought he was going Cliff Lee. So he was doing that for a TV show or a documentary or a YouTube channel or something or other. And it was actually pretty amusing. He played it off. And he then came on the show, and I asked him about it, and here was his explanation.
Some people were really angry. They were like, man, what are you doing? And I was like, what are you talking about? And this one old lady, she was super nice about it. She was like, oh, my gosh, what did you have for lunch? I don't want to have that. And I was like, yeah, my friends left me. She's like, oh, it's okay. You can sit here with me. And I just kept letting them go. Her husband, he actually got up and walked away.
So you feel better now? Are you on a happier place, or did that just make you more angry? I'm here to help. I'm just trying to cut the tension. So I had Cliff Lee. This is Cliff Lee, star major leaguer, talking to members of the media and just crop dusting the entire room.
I want this team to win, and I'm going to do everything I can to help that happen, and that's really it.
Thank you.
Did you get that on tape?
That's more of a reason to go than, quote, good luck with that. Told those media guys what he thought of them. Hey, Rome, Cliff Lee or Grossi?
Oh, there, Jimmy. This is the Grossi O'Donnell sports segment. This morning, I watched a little basketball. And I farted.
Like, if that idiot Grossi O'Donnell...
Then I watched...
That's enough, Albie. If that idiot won't cut the tension, I don't know what will. Rome, personally, I think that Mr. Lee should be ashamed of such a childish act. And on television, no less. For shame, sir. Very sincerely, Professor Clayton.
Brady Quinn is lurking. Where does it all stand in Cleveland?
Well, what they're going to do this week is Brady's going to...
John and Arcadia, let me tell you something. I know a lot of you were very angry about the conversation about Tony Dungy. The conversation we're having right now, although I brought this up to cut the tension, is a lot more offensive to me than anything that transpired in the last 2 hours. Way more offensive. More dangerous, more offensive. And while many of you may think there is no place for the conversation we had on Sports Talk Radio, I'm here to tell you the conversation we're having right now has no place anywhere on the radio. So I'm putting an end to it right this second. As long as we're talking about Philadelphia Phillies. You see Ryan Howard? You see Ryan Howard come up with a check swing, run-scoring knock? Tell you what, Rhino, if I were you, I'd watch your back. You better watch your back in the event that you've got to play in Texas. If Rangers pitcher Colby Lewis whined about bunting against the shift, there is no way he's putting up with something as bush as you check swinging and getting a base hit flare. Opposite field, knocking in runs. Lewis would be staring down Howard all the way to the bag. What is that? What is that? Be a man. Swing the bat. Be a man. Swing the bat. Adhere to the code, Ryan. In other words, if he pulls that garbage against Code E, Colby Lewis, he'll put one in his ear. I mean, I'd even rather talk about the code at this point than what we were talking about right there. All right, bad decision. I will own that. Bad play on my part. I was just looking to somehow cut the tension. Just trying. Let's go to Albuquerque. See what's going on there. Eric in Albuquerque. It's good to have you, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing good, Rome. Hey, I wanted to kind of weigh in a little bit on that David Houston topic. So I think I could answer his question a little bit and what you were talking about as far as him not having a choice, Michael Sam not having a choice. The way I see it, when you look at gay people, when you look at homosexuality, these people, you know, they're different from everybody else. That's just the way it is. Almost similar to somebody that has a disease or a syndrome. And I want to kind of compare it to, you know, like Down syndrome, except the difference is that somebody with Down syndrome, they can't pretend to be normal. That's the way they are. When you have somebody that's gay or homosexual, they can pretend to be straight. They can pretend, they can choose to be straight. Somebody that's African American, they can't choose or pretend to be white. That's just the way that they are. So as far as him having a choice, I believe he does have a choice. And I don't think it's fair to people that do have Down syndrome or that do have a disease that they are, in fact, born with, because they don't have a choice. They can't pretend and shake it off like nothing's wrong.
I got it. All right. I'm glad you made that call. Now I understand. Now it's all clear to me. You can make the choice. You can choose to pretend that you're something that you're not and keep your mouth shut and stay in the closet. That's your choice. I'm sorry, did you just say that being gay is a disease? Like Down syndrome? Is that what you just said? That being gay is a disease. It's one thing to come in here and say to me, oh no, it's a choice. It's a choice. When in my opinion, it is not a choice. I'm having a hard time believing I've got to argue that point, but I strongly believe it is not a choice. But now you're saying that it's a disease, like Down syndrome. But somebody who's afflicted with Down syndrome cannot hide that fact nor pretend that they don't have it. But if you're gay, you can. And in reality, what he's saying is you should. Can we get back to flatulence? That's one of the worst takes I've ever heard. You know how I keep saying you're entitled to your take? You are entitled to your take. I respect your take. I would never say you can't call this show because your take is different than mine. I would say that that does not apply to any of that because that's one of the worst things I've heard. It's one of the worst takes I've ever heard. It's a disease, and you do have a choice. Just choose not to follow that. Just beat it back, man. Beat it back. Will it the other way. Where's your discipline? Where's your will? You're weak, man. You can beat this thing. You don't have to be gay. Never give up. Never give up. Wow. I am pleased to say I've got an interview next. Tyson Ross, Padres all-star pitcher, will be joining me on the other side. Stay tuned. Clones. There are thousands of people looking for home security who get ripped off every single day, and the home security industry wants you to believe that that is your only option, but the fact is it's not. Well, they want you to believe they can rip you off or you'll get robbed. Great choice, right? So they've got all these salesmen out there. They're trying to scare you into signing one of these long-term contracts. You get stuck scratching huge checks every month, and there is no way out. Right? Wrong. Wrong. That's robbery in and of itself. By contract, it can cost you thousands. There is a better way to protect your home. Simply Safe Home Security. Because Simply Safe has no contracts. None. You'll get 24/7 protection. You will have trained professionals watching over your home, ready to call the police for only $14.99 per month. That is less than 1/3 of what companies charge for the same service. Simply Safe protects my home and my family and thousands of my listeners. Protect your home the smart way. Visit SimplySafeRoam.com. Go right now and get an exclusive 10% off. SimplySafeRoam.com. SimplySafeRoam.com. You will not get locked into a contract. It's only $15 a month. Once again, SimplySafeRoam.com. It is a great product. Welcome back Jim Rome with you on this Tuesday. I know a lot of you want to respond to that last phone call. You'll have a chance to do so maybe a little bit later on. We're joined right now by a pitcher for the San Diego Padres. He was named to his first All-Star game this year, coming off a win over New York on Saturday where he pitched 7 shutout innings. He's top 10 in the NL in innings pitched and strikeouts. And ERA, former second-round pick of the Oakland A's in 2008 out of Cal. Tyson Ross is my guest. Tyson, nice to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing well, Jim. Thanks for having me.
Good to have you. Great to have you. Tyson, take me back. A few weeks back, you were named to your first All-Star team. What was that moment like for you?
It was a tremendous honor. It's something that was quite unexpected at the time. And, looking back on it, it's a really unique experience.
Now, you pitched on Sunday before the All-Star game, which meant that you were ineligible to actually play in the All-Star game. Was just getting the selection enough, or was there a part of you that really wanted to play in that game?
Honestly, I did want to play, but it was perfect scenario for me and for the Padres. Houston Street was actually able to go replace me, since I pitched on that Sunday. And, he was definitely deserving as well as being an All-Star, so it's perfect.
So, Tessa, what about the experience itself? You didn't get to play in the game, but kind of take me through it. What was the experience like, and what were you looking to get out of it?
I just wanted to soak it all in. And, there's a lot of activities going on. You had the red carpet parade. You get to meet all the guys, that you've played against. And it was just a great family experience.
Tyson Ross joining us. You mentioned Houston Street. He goes to the Angels. Obviously, that's a guy who's been there. He's done it. Solid guy. And a clutch performer. What's that mean, and how big a loss is that to your team to see him go?
Houston's a great guy. It's tough, in the clubhouse. He's kind of a leader for us, but, it's a better opportunity for him. And, hopefully we got a good return in the trade, and, moving forward, it'll be a big thing for us.
So I mentioned coming out of the break on Saturday, you beat the Mets 6-0. You struck out 6 in 7 shutout innings. That was your first start after the All-Star break. Always nice to get a win, but does it feel a little bit different or maybe a little bit bigger when you come out of being named to your first All-Star team and then you have a game like that?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there's a little bit more attention on me and my starts at this point just because of, the recognition of the All-Star game. But, at the same time, it's the same thing. Every 5 days, I'm just trying to go out there, compete, and, give us a chance to win.
Yeah, it seems to me there's that recognition that you get nationally, but there's also the expectation within the own clubhouse and your teammates. For instance, manager Bud Black was talking about how you're turning into one of the guys at the front end of the rotation who's, quote, there to stop losing streaks, put zeros on the board, really throw great games, really shut down the opponents. Number one, how's it feel to hear that from your manager? And number two, do you feel like you're that guy now?
It means a lot to hear from Blackie. I really look up to him, and he's made a huge impact on my career in a short amount of time. So, to hear him say things like that, it's a great boost of confidence, and I think that's kind of what's turned things around for me in the last year and a half.
Tyson, you'll take the ball every 5th day, but what's been challenging for you, I would imagine, is the offense has not given you a lot of support. It's not something you can control, but in your previous 8 outings, the offense has only had one game where they scored more than 1 run. Do you have a mindset where when you go out there and that's happening that you think to yourself, I got to be perfect. I can't give up more than 1 run or we might lose this game?
No, I don't put any extra pressure on myself. I just try and go out there and do the best job I can on that given day, and the offense may not be scoring many runs, but they're definitely, working their butts off on defense, and that's much more appreciated from my standpoint.
Padres pitcher Tyson Ross, my guest. Take me back again. So you were drafted by the A's, and you come up with them, and then in November 2012, you were traded to the Padres, which is where your younger brother Joe had been drafted a year and a half earlier. What was it like when you first heard the news that you were being traded?
It was exciting and confusing all at the same time. Being a homegrown kid in Oakland playing for the A's was definitely a dream come true for me. But I've always said that San Diego is, the best place in the country. So, you don't beat it weather-wise. It's a beautiful ballpark, and it's a great opportunity for me as a baseball player, not only to, get a fresh start and kind of turn things around for myself, but, be close to my brother and watch him develop as he has.
Having lived down there myself, I can second that. It's as good a place to live as you can be. Now, what about the division itself, the NL West? When you heard that, did that seem to you that was a division that would be a good fit and it would fit your game?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. There's some great pitchers parks in that league. There's a lot of close ball games being played, and, quite frankly, it always comes down to the wire the last month of the season. So I know, you got the Giants, you got the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, and Rockies. There's some challenges there, but it's very competitive, and it's a great great division to be a pitcher in.
So, little bro Joe's in the minor leagues. When the two of you were together in spring training, what was that like? And when was the last time that you'd been on the same team?
That was actually the first time we'd ever been on the same team.
Wow.
Suiting up in the same locker room was a pretty cool experience. My family came down, was able to see both of us out there, working out together. It was pretty cool. But, yeah, it's a good thing, I think, in the future as he continues to develop and hopefully, join the rotation with me at some point. It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you mentioned your family. Your mother, Jean, has been an emergency room nurse at Children's Hospital for a long time. And back in the day, you would go to the hospital and you would hang out. Also, where we are in Orange County, we do a lot of stuff with chalk. So I know exactly what you're talking about. What's the experience like for you when you meet some of these kids who are patients?
You know what? It's really humbling. You're really thankful for everything that you have. And, I think what my mom's decided to do with her life, and, she continues to keep giving. She's actually going to meet me in Atlanta next week, or in a few days, I guess. And she does the Nurses Without Borders program. So she goes to third world countries and volunteers her time and helps with surgeries and things. And so, that's really just an inspiration to me as far as, putting others first and really just, thinking outside of your own comfort zone and just, making yourself a servant to others.
Yeah, it's an amazing commitment. Before you go, let me ask you this. Your mom always made time. She was busy, obviously, but she always made time to go to your games and your siblings' games. And right now, Tyson, I've got a 13-year-old son, a 9-year-old son, and they play baseball. So I see this all the time. You see the parents that are busy, but they do make time. You see the moms who are running kids all over town, and they never miss a practice. They never miss a game. As you look back, you've made it. You're a major leaguer. What did it mean to you to have your mom at every one of those games?
Oh, it's huge. When you have the support of your family like that, it's really special. And I think that's just the key to parenting, is just being involved and really just, no matter what it is, whether it's athletics, academics, or, anything that your kid's in, just really put forth the effort to, say that you support them. And they'll really appreciate it in the end.
Earlier today, you were named the Padres winner of the MLB Players Alumni Association Heart and Hustle Award. It goes to the player who, quote, demonstrates a passion for the game of baseball and best embodies the values, spirit, and traditions of the game. It's a great honor. What's that award mean to you?
It's a great honor, and I'm really thankful for that. I've worked really hard recently, and I think it's just it's great to be recognized for different things, different achievements that I've accomplished, and it's not going to change me at all. I'm going to continue to work hard and maybe even push myself a little bit harder as far as on the field, off the field things.
I was just going to say, having a big year both on and off the field. Tyson Ross, my guest. Tyson, good to visit with you. Nice to have you on the show. Thank you very much.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
Me too. I appreciate every guest who comes on, especially somebody like that. Second round pick of the A's in 2008, drafted out of Cal. And says San Diego's the best place to live. It might be. It's right up there. I've been really, really fortunate. I've lived in some amazing towns. Grew up in Los Angeles, went to college in Santa Barbara, worked there, went down to San Diego, came back to L.A., moved again. I've spent most of my time working my way up and down this coast, but San Diego is as good as it gets. They like to refer to themselves as America's finest city. Of course, the Bay Area refers to itself as the city. At least these two towns aren't very pretentious. America's finest city and the city. And you got L.A. right in the middle of them. And listen, no offense, San Diego. No offense, NoCal. And yes, I'm an L.A. native, but L.A. is just so much better than both those towns. I'm an L.A. native. I don't bash L.A., but believe me when I tell you, L.A. is not better than San Diego or Frisco. It's different. Parts of L.A. are. Not very many. Judging from the response I'm getting to the Eric in Albuquerque phone call, he should be very glad that we're going back-to-back with guests. Otherwise, I'd be reading the email reaction and the Twitter reaction, and it's just not positive, Eric. You did not fare well. Again, I'm here to take your phone calls. I'm not saying I can't protect you from you, and nor would I say you have a different viewpoint than me, therefore you can't be on. Let's just say you should be very happy that we're going back-to-back guests. Unless Buck misses. But he won't. No way. If I had to bet anything I had, it would be that Buck Showalter calls in 8 minutes. There is no way he misses an interview 2 days in a row. No way. Buck Showalter coming up when we come back. But there might be time on the backside of that. 1-800-636-8686. You're in the jungle, and you are listening to CBS Sports Radio. Welcome back. Are you still not an O Rewards member yet? Visit orewards.com and become an O'Reilly O Rewards member right now. Start earning $5 back on every $150 you spend. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Welcome back. We are joined right now by the manager of the Baltimore Orioles. He is a two-time manager of the year. He recorded his 1,200th career win earlier this season. Baltimore's got a 4-game lead in the AL East. They are at the Angels tonight. Manager Buck Showalter is our guest. Buck, it is good to have you back. How are you?
Jim, how's it going out here?
It's great out here. Buck, how's it going out here for you?
Well, I hadn't gotten lost going back and forth to the park, so it's a good thing. Traffic has been very kind to us.
That's good. So it's all a good thing. Adam Jones, Buck, had a pair of 2-run home runs last night in that win over the Angels. He did compete in home run derby. You know, that's been known to jack up a few swings. Did you have any concerns about his participation, and how does that stroke look to you right now?
You know, Jim, he came in the office, and after he had been asked to be in there, he goes, "What do you think, Skip?" And I said, "Adam, do you want to do it?" And he goes, "Yeah, I think I do." I said, "Then do it." I mean, life's too short. I mean, we take a round of home run derby every day. It's kind of the way Adam approaches life and baseball in general. He lives it to, he's a pleasure to be around. He's so proud of the man he's turned into, the teammate, the leader, the father. He's a lot of fun to be around. I have a belly to laugh at him every day because he doesn't take himself too seriously. But nobody, I've said it before, plays a game for 9 innings harder than Adam Jones does. And guys like him get a pass. You know, it was a perfect situation, Jim. I'd like to see him get through the first round, then I'd like to see him stop, and that's exactly what happened. But a guy like Adam, he's not going to get involved in trends and say, well, this happens, that means this is going to happen. I mean, he takes every day as a new challenge, and he's a lot of fun to watch play. He's one of those guys you get out of the way of and just let him do his thing.
Buck Showalter, my guest. Buck, I try to be as objective as I can, but honestly, I love the guy. I mean, I get a kick out of the guy. I love the guy. This is a big Adam Jones house. Now, when you mentioned that he gets a pass, how about this? He was involved in that strange incident over the weekend where he caught that fly ball. He starts to jog in from center, only to realize it was just the second out. I know you love the kid. You love the way he plays. How did you handle that when you saw that, and what'd you think?
Somebody asked me about that. Guys that play the game like Adam plays it, it's called cover your butt, or there's another word for it. But, he gets a pass. I'll be frank with you. Guys that played a game that way, and everybody's had it happen to him. We were talking about an advanced meeting yesterday, and nobody beats himself up any more than Adam. So why would you pile on? And, what's funny about it, I said in the meeting that tells you how much of a leader Adam is. About half the guys started running off the field. They figure, if Adam thinks it's 3 outs, maybe we messed it up, and it is 3 outs. I even looked around for a second and got, so, fortunately it didn't hurt us. Didn't have a play on it anyway, but, it's actually a little reminder to all of us how hard it is to concentrate for 8 months for 3.5 hours every night, and sometimes I wonder why it doesn't happen more.
I love it. Buck Showalter joining us. Buck, when you look at the roster you have right now, do you feel like you have a team that can win it all, or are you looking to add a piece or two before the deadline?
I'm not looking at all, Jim. Not my job. I like our guys. I like our people, and when you start talking about what you need and what you got to go get and whatever, you're basically slapping people in the face in your own, not only your own team but your organization. We know who we are and we know who we're not. We don't spend a lot of time talking about some things that other people might do or be able to do. It's not going to stand in our way. There's an excuse around every corner. Everybody's got pimples. Everybody's got dents in their armor. You find players when you get them. Everybody's got weaknesses. So, instead of coveting other people's players, I want to covet our own guys, and I want them to know that we think they're good enough. And, when people come up, I go, are they better than what we got? Are they better than what we've got in Norfolk and Bowie and Frederick and Delmarva and Aberdeen? That's why there's such a high morale in our organization. They know we're always going to look from within first, not only players but coaches, trainers, and we want to be self-sufficient. And that may be an idealistic situation, doesn't come to pass, but everybody that is in that locker room is planning on doing this from within.
Buck Showalter joining us. I like that. We know who we are. We know who we are not. What about Nelson Cruz? He's having a huge year, 28 home runs, 74 runs batted in. Buck, you had him back in Texas in 2006. How is this Nelson Cruz different from the one you had back then?
You know what, Jim, and it's a great, I think, a compliment to him. Not a whole lot. I mean, Nelson's the same guy. I mean, he's a great teammate. He's another guy that keeps it light. I mean, he's brought an element into our club that has been great to have around. I mean, none of us would like to have our whole lives judged by our worst decision, our worst mistake, including you and me. I mean, we all look back at things we wish we hadn't done or done differently. But you know, we live in a world and a society that you know that fortunately you know that are able to understand. If as long as we don't repeat things, you know, we can move on. And you know, Nelson's been a pleasure to be around. He cares about being a good teammate, and most importantly, he cares about winning. This guy likes to win. He's been around winning baseball.
Buck, when you took over that team in 2010, they had the worst record in baseball and had not had a winning record or been in the postseason since 1997. What made you think that this was a team in a situation where you could have success when so many other guys had not?
Well, he's not the guy. I just thought it was a timing thing for me. You know, I got in there where if you look at a situation that gets better, you usually go back and you see some guys like Dave Tremblay, Andy McPhail, I can go on and on, that kind of took some bullets. You know, John Russell and I talk about this with Pittsburgh, his situation there, and you look back through things that people took some bullets to get it right, to start the trend turning the other way. So I just thought, my timing was good to get there at a time when, you know, the Adam Jones were starting to mature. Nick Markakis, you know, we made a couple of deals. Wieters was coming to his own. So I just thought, I think it's just fortunate that I got there at a time when I think regardless of who had gotten there, things would have picked up and gotten better. So, you know, I'm very lucky to have people around me that, you know, that they were in the part of the process you have to go through. And everybody tries to cheat the process. There's no cheat in this game. Your strengths will show up. Your weaknesses will show up. There are no Cinderellas in baseball. We play too many games. My God, Jim, we played over 200 games last year, counting spring training. So you better, and I think Jim Bill Parcells said it best, that, you know, you expect to pick, you know, to cook the supper, but you're not going to be allowed to pick the ingredients to go into it. So it's been a good, I've been fortunate to be around people that got input from the coaching staff and players and scouts, and you know, so far we've been able to pick people that fit who we are.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Parcells, Buck. I mean, he's a guy, he's got so much it, and there's a lot of guys in different sports that admire the way he went about it, the way he led from the front, the way he motivated guys. If you look outside your own sport, who are some other leaders that you respect, that you would kind of model?
Well, you know, Jim, I'm very careful about saying something like that because, you know, we're all such a reflection of things we've been exposed to over our careers. You actually learn things from people about what not to do, too. And heck, I've stepped on my tail plenty of times. And I'm 58. There's a lot of things I don't care about anymore, and I don't take things nearly as seriously as people think I do. There's nothing that entertains me and gives me entertainment more than being around this baseball team, and, you know, trying to understand when to stay out of the way and when to maybe, you know, but, you know, this is a club, you know, we had some issues with the different players during the years. We have a strong enough team that they take care of that. Not many things get to my plate, and it's a team that's very easy to trust. So I think sometimes the best managing you do is the managing you don't do.
Buck Showalter joining us for a few more moments. Buck, how about this? You hung out with John Riggins for his show, Wriggle on the Range.
Did you see that, Jim?
How did that go for you?
Well, I didn't shoot anybody.
Good.
I had one time they had the camera lady was on my right in the water, and the duck went low, and I almost pulled the trigger. Boy, it scared the heck out of me. What a show that would have been. But, you know, it's something I got a buddy that my son loves to do it. I'm not a huge fan of it, but, you know, getting in the water at 5:30 in the morning, icy water, and trudging across in chest-high boots. I don't know what entertainment, but John's unbelievable. Riggins, I still can't believe he's got all his faculties. I was kidding him. I said, "How did you make it through the NFL and not be?" I mean, this guy walks around. I mean, he moves great, and what an entertaining guy. But it was fun, and I guess it was fun being around him, and you understand why guys are successful.
Yeah, Buck, I want to say, how do you know he's got all his faculties? But then again, I don't want to get on the wrong side of Wriggle myself,
No,
so I'm not going to pose that question.
No, I don't know. John, you know, we brought in a couple of his buddies there at Brundage and a punter from Arkansas, and, you know, to see the camaraderie with those guys and the things they went through, you know, the NFL, and, you know, I try not to get involved and act like an expert on things I don't know anything about. And, you know, there's such a difference in the sports. You know, we play every day for 7 or 8 months in a row, and they play once a week. I was kidding him. I said, "My God, John, you guys have off weeks." He said, "Pal, let me tell you something." He said, "That week right there, you need more than 1 week to get ready for the next week. It amazes me because he says they don't have tackles in football anymore. It's collisions. They're collisions. They're not. Jim, have you ever been on the sideline in a pro football game?
You know what they always say, Buck? It's like car collisions. It's
I don't know how they get that. I really don't.
Right.
I hope that union gets stronger too, because those guys need some protection.
Yeah, well, they don't have the baseball's union. Let me ask you this finally, then. It's a totally different deal, but what about that grind, Buck? You touched on that a couple of times. What's it like to go 200 games a year and just grind that thing out and maintain that focus and that discipline? How do you do it? What do you tell your players?
Well, one, you trust them and you get the right people there in place. You know, shame on you if you get somebody and you don't know. You know, if I could spend an hour or so with their mom and dad and understand their upbringing, you get an idea. Because let's face it, Jim, I'm at the mercy of the mothers and fathers of the world, because by the time I get somebody at this level, they've kind of formulated what kind of teammate they're going to be, and how they're going to approach how important winning is to them. So I don't think things have changed that much. Everybody talks about how things have changed. You know, it really hasn't that much. You know, the things you got to do to be successful and the type of people you have to have, but you know, try to explain that to somebody that hasn't been through it, hadn't stood in there against a fastball or nasty slider or things that go on, playing 11 a.m. games in Boston and a night game on the West Coast the next day. I mean, let's face it, the schedule has become a real challenge. I worry about it diluting the product. I'm hoping. Sometimes I look at what these guys go through, and it amazes me that they're able to play at the level they are with the schedule they have to play.
Buck Showalter nailing it. The O's got a 4-game lead in the AL East. We're at the Angels tonight. Buck, I'm so glad we got to do it again. Thank you very much.
Sorry about yesterday, Jim, but I appreciate you having me on.
Buck, no worries about yesterday. Great job today, Buck. Appreciate you. Buck Showalter. Man, that's how it's done. Man, that is how it's done. We'll come back, wrap things up next. My thanks to Buck Showalter. Didn't make it yesterday. Apologize for it again. The pro's pro. This is CBS Sports. Call Quicken Loans at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com for a free home loan review. That number again, 800-QUICKEN, equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states, NMLS number 3030. Ted in Pittsburgh tweets at Jim Rome. That Albuquerque caller made David in Houston look like a Rhodes Scholar. Each call brought to you by 5-Hour Energy. Turn your favorite 5-Hour Energy concoction into a share of $100,000. For more details, go to 5houryummification.com. Buck Showalter, Tyson Ross, and Matt Holliday all were guests. Thanks for your phone calls. I'm going to head across town, do Rome on CBS Sports Network. 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. See you then. My thanks to the XR4 Ti. We are out.